Let's have a quick lesson on this Brouwer Etude. This is Brouwer Etude number 13. This is a great etude. I mean, I love the way it sounds, but it's also a really great technical workout. So let's talk about the main two things that are a challenge in this piece. And then I'll kind of just walk through the piece a little bit. The main challenge is sustaining bass notes while doing the slurs with groups of two fingers. This is kind of straightforward at the beginning, or with the open strings, but it gets a little bit more challenging down halfway through the first page when you do these accents. See how you have to sustain these two fingers, so those have to remain down, and then you're slurring with these two. So it's like all four fingers are in use, and there's just a little bit more multitasking. It's almost like some kind of fixed fingered exercise from pumping nylon or something, but with grouped slurs. So from a technical standpoint, it's a really great workout for the left hand in that regard. Slurs and fixed fingers and sustain the whole bit. And then the other challenge of the piece is probably just keeping the balance. So keeping these upper slurs nice and soft and kind of just textural, and then the bass, keeping the bass kind of more melodic, sustained, and definitely the prominent voice. And he really marks that with forte on the bass, piano on the upper voice. And he does that throughout the whole piece, so it's important that you do follow that. Okay. Let's just do a little bit of a walkthrough of the piece. Right off the bat, I changed the fingering. I used 4-3 at the beginning because he switches to that on the second line anyway because of the preparation of the second finger on G. So you might as well just use 4-3 right from the very beginning and just get used to it. I definitely recommend using a metronome in this piece. I mean, there's some offbeat eighth note figures that you have to get used to. I mean, they're nothing crazy rhythmically, but you need to get used to them. So pop the metronome on, especially when it transitions into that other section. That transition's always a little bit strange for students. And it throws me too sometimes, but practice it with a metronome and you're going to be totally fine because you just kind of get used to it. Accent, where he places the accents, but also just on the slur patterns, just give the first of the slurred notes a little bit of an accent, and you'll find that it just kind of flows a little bit more and that the phrasing almost makes sense of itself. Like the phrasing will take care of itself if it's just rhythmic and you're following the slurs carefully and the accents. Just notice though on that fourth line, when he starts that transition into the new section, that there's a little comma breath mark after these groups. I think that's just to facilitate the third finger jump, but also just to mark the section a little bit. It's a little bit wonky there with the rhythm, so utilize that breath mark just as like a little setup for your fingering. Because he gives you that leeway there, which makes the piece easier and probably helps it musically as well. So I've already talked about this section, but keep those fingers down and sustaining. Whoops. I don't follow his fingering at the last line there. I go A, M, A. I don't know why you want to use I there. I just M and A there. And then it's pretty much the same until you get to this stuff. So I'm sweeping the thumb with the rest stroke. So thumb, 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 I, M, A. If you're not used to your thumb rest strokes, well, I mean, if you're at this level in the etudes, if you've done the previous etudes, you probably are comfortable with it. But nevertheless, trying to sweep through those arpeggios after all this slurring is actually a little bit of a challenge, like to switch modes. Even in the video there, you probably noticed like my hand was getting a little bit intense, and when I got to there, I didn't even do it maybe that smoothly, but you can just workshop that section until it's working for you. But there's nothing too crazy in that section. The next legatos, the final section of the piece, it's a little bit more melodic in the bass. I mean, it always has been, but more so here. So just make sure that bass line is nice and legato. What is it? So just keeping that bass line just a little bit nice and sustained and whatnot. Not too much else to talk about. At the very end, there's a bit of a row and a diminuendo. I don't make too much of that though. Because it seems like, in a way, he's already written that into the music, but utilize that if you wish. I think that's about it. Great technical workout in this piece, and also just a cool sound. Like a lot of my students really like this piece, and I do too. I think it's a cool texture, but a really great left hand workout.